And alone, he faced complete loss of influence as a marshal. Morning, Wyatt.
Good morning, Judge. Mr. Masterson. What's the matter? You look a little worried.
He sure is, Mr. Earp. A lot of Sheriff Whitney's friends want to organize a posse.
I don't want a posse.
They figure the Thompsons have had time to join their gang. They figure if you're going after them, you'll need help.
I don't like posses, Ed.
You can't go up against the Thompson outfit all by yourself, Mr. Earp.
A posse only raises dust. They're only as fast as the slowest horse. I don't think Bill and Ben will want to join up with their gang. My hunch is that they're hiding out in Bushwhacker section.
Bushwhacker? You mean where the Indians used to hide for ambush?
That's right.
How you ever going to find the Thompsons in there?
I think you might have something there, Wyatt. I can explain your theory to the men who sign up for posse work. Ought to satisfy them for a day or so.
Well, thanks, Ed. Well, do me another favor, will you?
Sure.
Well, I'm expecting 2 Indian friends of mine. They're about the best trackers I've ever met. And I'd like for you, as the judge and mayor, to meet them.
Indians?
That's right. Mr. Brother of the war chief many battles, and his partner, Mr. Cousin of the chief Yellowhand. Oh, and be sure and call him Mr. Brother and Mr. Cousins.
All right. What else do I do? Give them the key to the city?
No, Ed, just decent respect will be enough.
Sure, Wyatt. As soon as they hit town, I'll do the honors.
Thanks.
But Bat will tell you there's a lot of mean talk. It adds up to the feeling that you'd better arrest Bill Thompson quick, or a posse will do it for you.
I don't want a posse yet. I'll arrest Thompson myself.
I hope you do.
Aren't you putting too much faith in those Indians?
No, they're good men. So you and the judge think I ought to turn my job over to a posse before they take it away from me, huh?
Well, what if the Indians do find Ben and Bill? You can't go into that place all alone, Mr. Earp. You better take me with you.
You still want to be a marshal someday?
Yes, sir.
Well, then you better start learning what the job means. It's lonesome work, Mr. Masterson. You can't let a bunch of hot-headed citizens tell you what to do. You use your own head, get into your own brand of trouble, and think your own way out of it when you can. But always be ready to shoot your way out. But you go it alone.
And a bushwhacker?
Well, now, that's just a section of country full of rocks and brush.
Good old bushwhacker. One of the nicest hideouts we ever found, huh, Bill?
We should have brought the boys with us.
Ah. Why don't you drink some water for a change?
Now, if Earp comes in here after us, you're gonna wish we had more guns.
Earp ain't gonna come in here. Even if he guesses which direction we headed, he ain't gonna come in here. He's got more sense. And what if he did?
Hey, you hear anything?
If you stopped drinking that whiskey, you wouldn't hear so many things.
Lehaya.
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 Mr. Brother, Mr. Cousins, shut the door. Come in. Mr. Brother, you sit there. Mr. Cousins, you take that chair.
Giovannini, American.
Mr. Brother, crack joke?
He says, Mr. Earp, first time we treated like American.
You tell him it's a good joke. But it's a little sad, too.
Belinga de api alto bacahayitzo.
As I mentioned before, it's a good bet that the Thompsons are holed up in Bushwhacker. You and Mr. Brother know this country.
Bushwhacker? Yes. Good ambush. Got many good scalp there. Nagalim Bacaldo, Ihiaje, Bushwhacker.
Long knife, Waitgen, Bikakachihi.
He says he guides soldiers to White Cap, Johnny Rep camp one time.
Bueno, long knife, Mogdagus.
He says soldier loose fight.
I heard about that. I'll explain about these in a moment. Now, I want you to find Ben and Bill Thompson for me. I want you to move like dead men's ghosts. And I want you to be heard or seen. And you'll be very careful not to get hurt. The Thompsons are killers. They're very quick with their guns. Now, as to these loops of rope, I want you to take these with you.
You men wait here. I'll go talk to Marshal Earp.
Earp's just stalling, Ed. We want Bill Thompson. And a posse can bring him in.
There's a delegation outside.
I know, I see him.
They don't trust those Indian friends of yours. They want a posse, and they're pretty bad-tempered about it.
How's your temper, Ed?
Well, I think you're being unreasonable about this. It's no good just to say that you don't like posses and want to handle the whole thing by yourself. They knew Sheriff Whitney. They were fond of him.
I was fond of him, too. And I want Bill Thompson for his murder just as bad as they do.
I know that, Wyatt, but you're being high-handed and arbitrary.
This is my business, Ed, and you hired me to run it.
Well, at least go out there and explain your position.
All right. Well, Judge Miller tells me you gentlemen want to go after Bill Thompson.
We can't trust a couple of Indians. We want real action, Earp.
All right, Mr. Davitt. Then you can lead the posse. But before I deputize you, I think it's only fair to tell you what you'll be up against. Now, my Indian friends have already sent word that Ben and Bill Thompson was spotted yesterday going into the bushwhackers section.
Just the two of them, Wyatt?
That's right. But I want to remind you, men, that Ben Thompson is one of the best hands with a gun I know of. He's already killed 18 men in gunfights. Now, his brother Bill's not near as good, but he...
They don't scare us, Earp.
Well, they're enough to scare me. Now, have any of you men ever gone to that tangle of brush and rock before? Well, a whole Union outfit went in there a couple of years ago, as Judge Miller may recall. They were cut to pieces by a handful of Confederate soldiers. Now, how many men does your posse expect to lose, Mr. Davitt? Well, I give you an estimate. In my opinion, Ben and Bill Thompson shooting from ambush could kill about 10 of you.
But, Wyatt, if you lead the posse...
I won't do that. I don't believe in the idea, and I won't be responsible for good men being killed unnecessarily.
All right, you refuse to do your duty.
It's not my duty to lead inexperienced men like you into a massacre.
Well, we certainly got a long way with that, didn't we?
He could be right, you know.
He's lost his nerve. He's treating us like a passel of greenhorns.
Now, whoa here. I'm sure that
You
Wyatt...
stand up for Earp no matter what. Come on, man, we'll report back to the others at the meeting. Ellsworth may have a new marshal and a new mayor in about 3 days. Hey, Ben. Wake up, Ben. Look it. It's Earp. He's found us.
Judge Miller wants you to come to the meeting right away. They're talking him down, Mr. Earp.
Oh?
It's nip and tuck. Sam Davitt's trying to get them to fire you and appoint him as leader of the posse if they're not found in 3 days. The judge says if you'd explain to the whole meeting what you're
I've
going
explained it once. I'm not going to explain it again.
You don't care if they fire you?
Nothing much I can do about it, Mr. Masterson. I said all I'm going to say.
Well, you can't just sit there and let things happen. They're calling you a coward. They say you owned up to being scared of the Thompsons.
Sit down, Mr. Masterson. You're seeing the worst of a peace officer's job. You sit still and wait. It's going to be dark before I hear from Mr. Brother and Mr. Cousin. In the meantime, I'm a coward, or I'm fired. At that town meeting, we'll just sit and talk.
It just isn't fair.
Well, what would you do? Lead a posse into an ambush, let a couple of them get their head shot off?
Well, what else? What if the Indians do find Ben and Bill? It'll still take a posse to get them out. You can't go in there alone.
Yes, I can.
Well, here she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that all you got to say? You give me more credit than that?
Oh, You're the smart one of the family.
You'd be smart, too, if you didn't addle your brains with that whiskey. Took me a half a day to find this place. That means it'll take Earp 6 days, even if he knew it was here.
How about a swig of whiskey to celebrate? Huh, Ben?
That'll settle your nerves quicker than whiskey. I don't know why I string along with you.
All right, then. Go ahead and leave me.
I would. But you're my dear, crazy little brother. Now let's get inside. Still got some coal oil left. Where are the matches?
In your pocket. Find them, you're so bright about finding things.
It's the first time we've ridden in here since the war, huh, Bill? What's the matter with you?
Look, Ben, look! It's Earp. I'm getting out of here.
Wait a minute.
Moccasin tracks. A couple of Indians. Earp must be hiring them.
But we can't stay here, Ben. They'll tell them just where we are.
That Earp. All the sneaky, underhanded tricks. He's trying to work on me.
On you? That's for me. And I ain't staying here and being cornered by Earp and his posse.
Bill! Use what few brains you got left.
Yeah. Maybe I'd better.
Yeah, maybe you'll turn me into Earp. Turn you in. Look, haven't I always kept the law off your neck? You're my brother, and I'm stuck with you.
Just the same, I'm getting out of here.
Bill! Earp's not coming in here after us.
But why ain't he coming after us?
'Cause I know him. I know how he thinks. The rope trick is just to scare me into turning you in.
Scare you? That's me he aims to hang.
And that wouldn't make any difference to me. Had to kill a lot of men getting you out of trouble. Besides, what would Mom think if I... That's enough. Oh, for gosh sakes, Bill. What's the matter now?
I've been having a bad dream. I saw Mom.
Why don't you go back to sleep?
No, Ben. Honest, I saw her. She came to warn me. I ain't lying. It ain't the whiskey. Mom don't trust Wyatt Earp. She told me he'll make a fool out of you if you trust him. And he'll put me on the gallows.
How did Mom look in the dream?
Just like in her coffin. She was wearing the white silk dress that you bought her just after we held up the Abilene stage. Please, Ben, I can't stand here no more. Let's go hide in the old still.
All right, we'll go.
Start now?
Yeah, get here. Give me that.
Bad news, Wyatt. The time is up.
The posse forms in the morning, Mr. Earp.
If you won't lead them, I'm ordered to. Won't you reconsider?
No. I know what they're doing, and they don't. Thanks for standing by me, Ed.
I'm very sorry, Wyatt. This town's losing a good marshal.
Hey, it's Mr. Cousin.
Let him in. Oh, Mr. Cousin, it's good to see you alive. Where's Mr. Brother?
He stay near Still, Mr. Earp. Thompson's moving to Still after dark.
Which still?
I make picture. Moon here. River here. Whitecap, north, still here. Johnny Reb make whiskey in it.
Yeah, Buzzard's Roost. The old Ku Klux Klan hangout. Good work, Mr. Cousins. Mr. Masterson, see that he gets a fresh horse and a good one.
Yes, sir, but what are you going to do?
Just get the horse. Thank you, Mr. Cousin. You can tell Mr. Brother that your debt to me is paid.
Thank you.
Those Indians must have owed you a lot.
No. I sent a telegram to the colonel at Fort Leavenworth vouching for them so they could sell the Army horses. It cost me $1.25.
You mean they tracked the Thompsons just for that?
No, Ed, I also call him Mister.
You're not going out now. It'll take over an hour to round up the posse.
Ed, I told you, no posse.
But the time is up.
I don't care whether it's up or not.
Wyatt, it's suicide to go in there alone.
Maybe.
Mr. Earp. Mr. Earp, please, let me go with you.
Not this time.
But if something happens, if you're hurt or...
Now, don't worry about that. I have friends who'll bring home the remains. But cheer up, Mr. Masterson. I don't think Ben Thompson will be any faster in the draw than usual.
Ben? What you got there?
Nothing.
That's Indian for the last message.
Well, let him come. I'll splatter him all over these hills.
Yeah, we'll both gun him.
I want him alone, the fair fight.
Oh, Ben, what's the sense in talking like that? We can pick him off with rifles.
Because he's mine, that's why. He's tormented me and hounded me like a wild dog. It's me he's trying to drive crazy. Well, he ain't gonna get away with it. I'm a better man than he ever was. So you stay out of it, you hear?
That's fine, Ben, fine.
But I can't trust you.
Ben, I swear. What's that?
That could be him. So you get on your horse, ride down to the river, and wait for me there.
No, Ben,
I've got a good mind to put an end to this whole thing.
Don't, Ben. I'll go. I'll go.
Ben Thompson.
That you, Wyatt?
That's right. I want your brother.
Bill ain't here. You got a posse with you?
No. I came alone.
Well, that's just the way I want it. I'll be right out.
I don't want you. I want your brother.
You ain't gonna get either one of us.
Hold it! You're not very fast with your left, Ben. I don't want to have to kill you.
Bill got away.
Go sit on that rock. You got a cut artery. No sense in you bleeding to death.
I don't understand you, Wyatt.
Guess not.
You had a chance to kill me, and you didn't take it. Won't even let me bleed to death. Why?
I want Bill.
To hang him?
The law doesn't hang a crazy man.
People down in Ellsworth don't know that.
They're not the law. If you had any sense, you'd bring Bill in yourself. Sooner or later, he's bound to be killed. Maybe you'll go down with him.
Maybe I won't.
Well, then he'll turn hopelessly insane. A babbling lunatic on your hands.
Nah, you wouldn't do that.
Well, that's the deal I offer you, Ben. You bring Bill into Ellsworth, and I promise he'll be treated fairly.
I don't take your promise.
Wyatt.
All right. All right, you've made yourself a deal. I'll bring him in.
See you at the jail, Ben.
Wyatt, you didn't find the Thompsons?
Yeah, I found him.
Well, what happened? Did you...
No, I didn't have to. Ben's bringing Bill in.
You took his word?
Yes, I did. Ben's never lied to me yet.
Well, maybe the posse will get him.
Now, Mr. Masterson, you still want to be a peace officer?
Well, yes, sir, but
But not a plain fool like me, huh?
I don't think you should have trusted Ben, Mr. Earp.
No? Well, take a look behind you. Well, you're right prompt, Ben.
Would have been here sooner, but he got a little violent about the deal.
Now, Bill, you're sick in the head, and this is the best thing for you. I give the marshal my word, and he give me his.
Put him in a clean cell, Mike. Make him real comfortable.
So long, Wyatt.
So long, Ben.
You were right all the time, Mr. Earp.
Sure. I could have been just as right and got killed. Or just as right and got fired. Yes, Mr. Masterson. I'm now a great marshal again. Well, that's the end of...
Oh, Marshal Earp! Marshal Earp!
Here, wait a minute.
You stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
This is done to her. Hold it!
I'll shoot the next man that moves. You're all under arrest. The law says you gotta check your guns, and you all know that. Mike, take the guns and start into jail.
All right, everybody put their guns on the table here.
Move. Move.
Oh, I'm much obliged to you, Mr. Earp. 5 minutes more and they wouldn't have left me anything.
They'll have to pay for it, Mrs. Danaher.
You go out and help Mike take him to jail.
Yes, let's go.
A sherry, Mr. Larson. I know you don't drink, Marshal, but a bit of wine would calm my Irish temper.
What started all the trouble, man?
They're still fighting the war between the states. All those cowhands were Southern men. They wanted me to move General Lee from my parlor in here.
General Lee.
Oh, a picture of him.
They called her a traitor.
You better clean up.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't understand it, Mr. Earp. My dear departed husband was a Confederate veteran. He died last year, God rest him. Len wanted to forget the war. So do I.
Well, ma'am, folks aren't all that sensible.
But these men that drive the cattle up from the south, they still carry the stars and bars. Why is that?
Well, some of our Yankee politicians weren't good winners. They rubbed it in everywhere they knew how. Give a cowhand a pint of whiskey and, well, he starts remembering his grievances.
Am I the one to pay on that account, Mr. Earp?
No, ma'am. I'll collect the damages for you. Mr. Lyson,
Yes, sir?
how much do you think it'll cost to put this place back into order?
Oh, 2,000 or 3,000.
3,000, huh?
Oh, don't be asking a Swede. 1,500 is the Irish of it.
Mrs. Danaher, this is business.
1,500, Mr. Earp.
I'll see that you get it. I'll have a talk with Judge Miller.
Lord love you, Mr. Earp.
Good day, ma'am.
All right, men, stand up. Judge Miller.
Take your hats off.
You men are charged with drunkenness and malicious destruction of property. I suppose that's your idea of fun, wrecking a poor widow's only inheritance.
Now, just a minute, Judge. We got something to say here about this.
Order in the court. Marshal Earp, what's your recommendation here?
I think between them they ought to be fined $1,500. Stay in jail until they pay it.
Oh, sure. That's Yankee justice.
Order. The court finds you $1,500 pro rata. You'll be held in jail until payment. Deputy Teague, remove the prisoners.
All right, men, this way. Come on.
Marshal Earp. This is Marsh Murdoch, a newspaperman from Wichita. We've been friends for a long time.
Oh, Mr. Murdoch.
Glad to know you, Mr. Earp. I came here on business.
Mighty important business for you, Wyatt. It's such an opportunity that I can't stand in your way. I'll see you later, Marsh. And I hope he turns you down.
I hope not, Ed. Miller seems to think you're going to be the best marshal in the West.
Well, Ed's my friend.
Your friend, but also a newspaper man. We learn to size up men pretty well. I'll come to the point. How would you like to be marshal of Wichita?
Wichita. That's a mighty big job.
Too big?
Well, I don't know. Wichita ranks with Dodge City for size and trouble.
It'll be worse when the railhead moves in. Laying all my cards on the table.
How'd you happen to hear about me?
You're better known than your modesty allows you to think. But what really brought me here on the run was a chance remark in Ed's last letter.
Oh?
He said you know how to handle southern cowhands.
Well, I have had to make quite a study of them, but Mr. Murdoch, I always think better when I'm walking. Would you mind getting a little sun?
Not at all. Good idea. You know, getting along with Southerners is our big problem, Mr. Earp. Bill Hickok let some Texas men run it over him last week and had to quit. And with Sheriff Smith retired, we have to start all over.
Well, I heard that Hickok's a mite too quick on the trigger.
Wild Bill didn't have the intelligence to reason with cowhands. He shot him.
Well, they take a lot of patience. I can't say I'm any too well liked by them.
No northern peace officer is going to be liked. The best he can do is convince the Johnny Rebs that he means to be just and fair.
Well, that and understanding their pride.
Pride?
Yeah, it seems to me that's the key to it. Just about all the war left him was their pride.
That's true.
You've heard folks speak of it as a foolish pride, but, well, I've never held for that. See, I got two brothers that fought for the North. They tell me the Southerners have every right to be proud. They fought real well.
They sure did.
When I took this job here, I made up my mind I'd never shoot a cowhand if there was any other way out of it.
You mean there are other ways?
Well, I hit him with my fists a little, or buffalo him over the head with my gun barrel. It's a lot more effective than shooting him.
You take an awful risk, though.
Well, you buffalo a cowhand, and all he has is a headache. But if you shoot him, a lot of fellas can say to themselves it wasn't a fair fight, and then they lay for you.
Well, you're right. What happens if the cowhands decide to stay in jail? Who's going to pay for that work?
Well, then we'll all chip in. But I think they'll pay for it.
What makes you so sure?
Well, a cowhand hates to spend much time in jail. It hurts their pride.
What happens if they can't raise the $1,500?
Well, then their bosses will pay for it. Hurts their pride, too.
Pride? I never thought of the cowhand problem in just that way. You're the man for the job in Wichita. We can pay you $250 a month. Nominally, you'll serve under the new Sheriff Todd. But you'll be in charge of law enforcement. Well, what do you say?
Well, that Masterson will want to come with me, but he's going to have to go to school. Ed Miller isn't too happy about my leaving.
No, but he realizes with the railhead moving on to Wichita, this town will change from a cowhand whoop-de-doo to a normal community.
Well,
You Wyatt Earp?
that's right.
Where's Judge Miller?
Who are you?
Rams is the name. Kirby Ramsey. You got some of my men in jail. We want to talk to you and the judge in private.
All right. First, you ride over to the jail and check your guns with my deputy.
I think not, sir. How's that for Yankee impudence?
There's nothing Yankee or impudent about it, Mr. Ramsey. It's a city ordinance.
Of all things, aren't you Captain Ramser?
Madam?
You wouldn't be remembering me. I'm Mary Donaher, Len's wife.
Oh, yes. Running this tavern, I believe.
I was, Captain. But a bunch of pesky cowhands just about put me out of business this morning.
Heard about that. Turned Yankee lover, didn't you?
But, Captain, you and my husband were great friends. You were his captain. Well, you know I wouldn't... It's very welcome you are. You and your friend. I'd like down and...
Oh, thank you. Good day, madam.
Hold it.
I meant what I said about the guns.
All right. Find Judge Miller. We haven't any time to waste.
I'll be apologizing for the captain, Mr. Earp. He never used to be like that.
It's the captain that should apologize to you, man. Well, I gotta go find Ed Miller, see what this is all about. Excuse me.
There's a limit to our patience, Miller. This town has lived off us Southerners. Lived well. And in return, you all hired this fellow Air Pierce Marshal. And you did it knowing that he hates all Southern men.
Quite to the contrary. Wyatt Earp is...
I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to tell you.
Oh?
We want those cowhands released. And no nonsense about $1,500 fine. The Danaher woman got just what she deserved for turning Yankee.
That's a stupid lie.
What did you say?
I called you a stupid liar. Now, Wyatt.
You made us check our guns. Now understand why.
Gentlemen.
Don't call him a gentleman. He's a liar and a fool.
Why, you...
I'll tell the judge what you really want.
We want you fired. We'll give you just 6 hours to get out of town. You want to hear the rest of it?
I do not.
Well, you'll hear it anyway. If Air Pierre hasn't left Ellsworth by 5 o'clock this afternoon, we'll run him out. And if we have to do that, we'll burn this town to the ground. All of it.
You cross our city limits and there'll be a fight.
Get rid of Air by 5 o'clock this afternoon.
The Civil War all over again.
Well, maybe not, Ed.
Ramser wasn't bluffing.
No. But how many gunfighters can he raise? You know anything about the captain?
He's a hot-headed professional Southerner. He owns a big cattle spread in North Texas. He can hire plenty of gunfighters in the camps.
Well, shall I let him run me out of town?
This is serious, Wyatt. We'll need to arm at least 100 men. Get the women and children to
Now,
safety.
hold on, Ed. You may be overestimating the captain. Now, there must be another way to handle him. Is that the picture that caused all the trouble?
General Lee, God rest him.
Was he really better than President Grant?
Well, if he'd have had the same number of men and equal equipment, he'd elect us.
Why, Mr. Earp, you admit it.
It's just my personal opinion, ma'am. I'm not a military expert. But going way down to the line to Captain Ramser, what do you know about him, Mrs. Donaher?
Well, you can tell us, Mrs. Donaher.
Ramser's given me until 5 o'clock to leave town. If I don't, he says he's going to run me out and burn Ellsworth.
Just joking you are.
Nope.
And it's all true. And a plague on that man. Him that was me own Len's captain and a great gentleman. He loves the South. It's more hate than love, Mr. Earp.
You think he's a fanatic?
Daft. Poor, wicked man. A great worshipper of General Lee. Yet he doesn't know that General was always praying that the North and South would live together like brothers, to forgive each other for what's past. I'll bet that Ramser doesn't even know the date of General Lee's birthday, or even his middle name.
Let's see. Robert Edward Lee, born January 19th, 1807. Have I got it right?
Go devil and come St. Patrick. You certainly have. Is there anything you don't know, Mr. Earp?
Well, Lee just happens to be one of my heroes. But I don't know much about Ramser. You think he was bluffing?
Was he cold sober when he threatened you?
Hmm.
Then you'll be after trying it, Mr. Earp. And don't take him lightly.
What kind of a following could he have?
A few friends and a lot of money.
And there's hundreds of Southern men in the cattle camps right now.
Yeah. Mr. Masterson, I got a job for you.
Yes, sir?
I want you to take your horse and scout the camps. See if you can pick up a line on Ramser in a couple of hours.
Oh, but Mr. Earp, if they catch him spying, he might get hurt.
Don't worry, they won't catch me. Mr. Earp's learning me to be a marshal.
Teaching me. When we get you into school, they'll pound the difference into you. Now, there are two things I want to know quick. Is Ramser coming at 5 o'clock, and with how many men?
Yes, sir, I'll find out.
Mr. Earp, a strong sense of justice has bedeviled us Irish from the start. Why should you, who've refused to gun so many cowhands, be put among their enemy?
Well, it is kind of mixed up, isn't it?
Oh, it truly is. You being the kind of man you are, Ramser can't chase you out of town. And yet if you stay, there'll be a bloody battle. And that none of your making.
Well, maybe Ramser will change his mind.
Would you approve of my driving out to the camps? I'd have no influence on Ramser, but I do know a lot of cowhands.
Ma'am, it's good of you to offer, but no.
You'll hide behind no woman's skirt.
Well, I'm not wounded and down to my last cartridge yet.
Too bad. It was a silly whim of mine. Think nothing of it. I'll go count my liquor bottles.
Number 8, that's birdshot.
That's right.
What's the idea, Wyatt? We ought to use buckshot or slugs.
Well, I haven't heard from Bat. Ramser was coming in for us. We'd have heard talk in the nearest camp.
So?
Well, either he's not coming at all, or he'll make some fanatical Johnny Reb move with just a few men.
Well, you haven't been wrong yet.
Of course, we could always meet Ramser with a posse, Ed.
I heard about that posse ride to Bushwhacker, Ed.
This time I could be right.
Yes, you could. But if Ramser's coming with a small army, we haven't got enough to fight. If he's only going to come with a few men, then we can discourage him with some birdshot.
I still say Ramser needs a double dose of buckshot.
What do you think, Mr. Murdoch?
I'm afraid I must agree with Mr. Earp. Killing Ramser might bring the whole Southern Army down on you.
Thank you. Oh, just one more thing, you all Yankees. Be careful not to hit the horses. I never did meet a horse yet that cared a whinny about the Mason-Dixon line.
I found this tacked onto the crossroads sign down at the corners.
Miller, tell Earp I'm giving him until 6 a.m. tomorrow to leave town. Kirby Ramser.
Just a bragging faker.
He talked too much for a real Johnny Reb. The real one's just come a-shooting.
I don't know. Might have taken him longer than he figured to get his crowd together. Well, Bat should have been back here by now. I don't like it.
You think Ramser might come in this morning?
Well, Bat can tell us that.
If they haven't caught him.
Almost 5 hours of waiting. Afraid something happened to that boy.
What's going to happen at sunup? Hope he can handle these cowhands.
Well, we've armed about 50 men.
Earp can't ask you to risk a whole town for him.
He won't run. If he did that, it'd be no use to you in Wichita.
Or anywhere else as a law officer. I like Earp. Hate to see him lose his big chance in Wichita. Lose his reputation or his life. And through no fault of his own.
Why must you hurt so? That's a smart, handy lad. He'll take care of himself.
Mrs. Donaher, I sent him out there.
They say a woman's lot is hard. But a woman can weep and be no smaller for it. A woman can have fear and run, and it's expected of her. But you men, must you be held by courage till it's the death of you?
I'm gonna go out and...
Oh, God, no, heavens, no.
Mr. Earp.
Mr. Masters. You all right?
A couple of Ramser's men caught me spying on him. I found out what you wanted to know, sir. Ramser's coming at sunup. He's hired all the top guns. We'll have to find him with every man we can get.
I'll get my medicines.
He's coming with Maynard Clemens, John Wesley Hardin, Curly Bill, Ringo, and the Clairvoyants.
All right, just rest yourself. Don't talk anymore. Put your feet up. Ed, I want you to call off the fight.
You're leaving town?
Ramser wants me. It's my fight, not yours.
I know Clements and Hardin and the rest of them.
Are you planning to let them shoot you down?
No. Tomorrow's gonna be General Lee's birthday. We're gonna make it his birthday.
We are?
You think they'll respect that?
I don't know, but it's my only chance. Give me a break, Ed. Call off the fight and keep everybody out of it.
All right, Wyatt. Come along, Marsh. We'll pass the word.
Well, good luck to General Lee. And you.
Thank you.
I have some arnica and a towel and...
He's asleep. Go get me some hot water.
Morning, Captain.
What is this?
You can read. It's the General's birthday.
I know that. But why would a blue-bellied Yank town in Kansas remember it?
Well, the General belongs to all of us, sir.
This is a trick. You're trying to hide behind General Lee. Talk us out of what we came here for.
No, Mr. Ramser, I decided to make my fight here. I thought that about 6 of you might like to pay your last respects to him.
What's holding us up?
Quiet back there. It's the General's birthday.
Whose birthday?
Lee, Robert E. Lee. You men will show your respect. And you'll show your respect.
Well, I'm always willing to do that, Captain. But I don't think the General would want my regard for him to put me at a disadvantage.
Your regard is an insult, sir.
Well, I didn't choose his birthday to bring in a bunch of hired killers to gun one man and wreck a defenseless town.
I thought Master Robert was born in October.
What's that all about?
They ain't sure this is his birthday, Captain.
The idiots. They think I don't know the date. They'll respect his memory. In review, forward! Oh!
Now move away from the general's picture. Now it's a fair fight, the way he'd want it.
Commencing to learn something about Wyatt Earp?
I think so. The Wichita job is yours, Wyatt, and on your terms.
Thank you, Mr. Murdoch. I can accept it now with a clear conscience. I don't think you'll have any more trouble, Ed. But if you want me to, I'll stay.
No, Wichita is too big an opportunity for you, Wyatt. I think you should accept it. $1,500 from Ramser to Mrs. Danaher.
Well, thank you. I'll take it on over to her. I'll see you both later.
Right.
Is that straight now?
Good and straight, just like him.
Mr. Earp, sir,
Yes, Mr. Masterson.
how long do I have to stay in that school?
Till you learn the date of General Lee's birthday?
Well, I already know that. January,
19th, 1807.
That's it. Those ignorant Johnny Rebs.
Mr. Masterson, don't ever call them ignorant. No, they knew the main fact, that they loved General Lee. They were wise men.
God bless them all. You know we're going to miss you around here, Mr. Earp.
Thank you.
Won't you change your mind about Wichita and let me go with you?
Nope.
Why not?
Look, you want to be a marshal someday?
Sure.
Well, then you're going to have to go to school in Topeka. The first date I want you to learn and always remember is General Lee's birthday.
January 19th, 1807.
That turbulent city, fighting frontier gunslingers with his fists, his .45 Colts, and his sawed-off shotgun.
Wichita. There she stands, Wyatt. This is Douglas Avenue, our local Broadway.
It sure makes Ellsworth look like a stage stop.
You're in the big city, Mr. Earp. Texas House, Wichita Eagle, fine newspaper. Mine. This is Main Street. Palace Saloon. Down there is the Oriental Saloon. Next one is Rowdy Cates' establishment. There's the Wichita House. Way down at the end on the other side of the street's the Occidental. Douglas Avenue House, Payer's Saloon. That next street down is Horse Thief Corner.
Murdoch! Mr. Murdoch! The vigilantes are aiming at Hank Slick Lonigan. They say he murdered Hank Mahoney last night.
Where's Judge Jewett?
In Kansas City on business. There'll be a lynching if you don't stop them.
They'll be stopped. Where are they?
Over at the jail.
Looks like we better head that way, huh?
Welcome to our fair city.
Here comes Marsh now.
Lucky you got here, Marsh.
Hello, Bennett. What's the trouble?
Sheriff Todd won't turn Lonigan over. The fool says he'll make a fight of it.
I'll have a talk with him. Marshal Earp, this is Dave Bennett, the president of our Citizens Committee for Law and Order.
You mean vigilantes. Glad to know you, Mr. Bennett.
So you're the great Wyatt Earp. Gentlemen, this is the new peace officer Marsh hired to replace Wild Bill Hickok.
Well, right, you can save the handshaking for later. Come along, Wyatt. Sheriff Todd?
Yeah?
Marsh Murdoch. Open up.
Thank the Lord, Marsh. This up?
That's right.
The rest of you stand back. It's providential, Earp. Simply providential. I'm no hand with guns. My job is strictly collecting taxes. I hope you can take over this affair right away. I'll swear him in. That'll make it legal till the judge gets back, huh?
All right, but calm down. You alone here?
Yeah.
What happened to the deputy marshals?
They all skipped. They're afraid of the Citizens Committee.
Slip Lonergan's a faro dealer at Rowdy Cates. Who's the man he murdered?
Hank Mahoney. I didn't know him.
I do, unless there are two Hank Mahoneys. The one I know is a killer.
Hank Mahoney wasn't armed. Dave Bennett says.
I'd like to talk to Lonergan. Okay?
Of course. Bring him in here, will you, Sheriff?
All right. Lonergan's your responsibility. You handle the CCs.
Better put this on, Wyatt.
Wait a minute. You didn't tell me there were vigilantes here?
We had to let them organize. Cowhands threatened to tear the town apart.
I don't work with vigilantes, Mr. Murdoch.
Neither do I. And I should have told you that the CCs are a special problem. But I was afraid you'd turn down the job.
Looks like I better do that now.
Now, hold on, Wyatt.
I don't like vigilantes. They shoot and hang a man first and then ask questions. Now, you hired me to enforce the law. Well, lynching a man isn't the law, Mr. Murdoch.
I agree with you. Judge Jewett, Mayor Hope, and I want to force the vigilantes to disband. We're convinced that some of them are mixed up with the crooked gambling and rustling.
That's a good bet.
But we have to have proof, Wyatt. It has to stand up in court.
Will you back me up if I start rousting that crowd out there?
All the way.
There's Lonergan. What'll I tell the vigilantes?
Tell them Marshal Earp is working on the case.
Thanks. Rest yourself. A lot of men out there that want to hang you, Mr. Lonergan.
Oh, sure.
I understand you killed Hank Mahoney when he wasn't wearing any guns.
You the Wyatt Earp that ran it over Ben Thompson?
Yes, he is.
Hey, Murdoch, quit stalling and bring him out.
Hold it, Bennett. Just give us a couple of minutes.
That'd be Dave Bennett. Important man.
Was Hank wearing a gun?
Two of them.
Shot him in a fair fight, huh?
He yelled for me to come out in the alley. I came out, gave him both barrels.
Shotgun, huh?
Yeah.
Who took care of Mahoney then?
Well, Sheriff Todd says he helped carry him over to Doc Fabrique's office. Shot in the stomach. What could Doc do?
Well, then you claim that somebody must have taken the guns off the body.
How else could it have happened?
Why was Hank gunning for you?
I worked for Rowdy Kate. Maybe she can tell you. If you're going to turn me over to the vigilantes, at least give me a gun.
Mr. Lonergan, what makes you think I'd turn you over to that lynch mob?
Oh, they're not a mob. They're the Citizens Committee for Law and Order. They run this town, Mr. Earp.
They do?
No, they don't run this town. You're the Marshal of Wichita. Prisoner's in your hands.
Thank you, Mr. Murdoch.
Must be this lucky agate Katie gave me. All of a sudden, I draw two aces.
We'll take Mr. Lonergan back to his cell and then have a little talk with that committee.
All right, men. Now, this is what we're going to do. We run this town. You understand? And nobody's going to tell us what to do.
Gentlemen, there appears to be some doubt that Mahoney was unarmed when Lonergan shot him.
Well, that's ridiculous. We have 10 witnesses.
Break it up.
What?
I said break it up. You have no business here. Now, I know what you men call yourselves, but you're just a plain lynch mob to me.
Marsh, you're going to put up with this?
I hired Mr. Earp with the approval of Judge Jewett and Mayor Hope.
Not with my approval.
He doesn't need your approval. Your committee doesn't have any legal standing. Now, if Lonergan is guilty, he'll be punished according to the law. But in the meantime, Mr. Bennett, you and your friends are packing guns in violation of a city ordinance. I realize it hasn't been enforced lately, but that's the reason I'm not going to arrest you at this time.
Why, you...
Don't try it. Now, most of you are decent men. And yet you let a fool like this tell you what to do. Now, I don't think Mr. Lonergan is guilty, and I aim to prove it. But either way, you're not the judge and jury. Now, get moving.
Come on, Dave.
Seen the last.
It's the marshal, the new marshal.
Earp? What's he want? This hour of the morning.
He says it's about Slick, and he's real nice and gentlemanly, too, Miss Kate.
All right, tell him to come on up.
She says it's all right, Mr. Earp. Right up the stairs.
What an hour to wake anybody up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, do I look awful?
You look real fine, Miss Kate.
Oh, you always say those nice things, Mildred. Open the door. Wow.
How do you do, Miss Kate? I'm sorry to bother you so early.
Harm's already been done. Is Mr. Lonigan okay?
Well, for the time being, yes.
I hear you put a head on the Thompsons over at Ellsworth.
Well, I put Bill in jail.
Just like that, huh? Hey, Mildred, coffee on the double.
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Mr. Earp, I want to be polite, but I can't afford to get mixed up in this.
Well, maybe you can answer a few questions, like, was Hank Mahoney packing guns last night?
Yes, 2 of them.
Will you testify to that?
If I did that, I'd leave Wichita in a coffin.
You afraid of the vigilantes, huh?
Scared to death. Have a drink, Mr. Earp?
Don't use it.
Some...
No, thanks.
Any vices at all?
Miss Kate, I came here to question you.
Can't talk about it. Not even to help Slick. And I'm real fond of him.
Are you in love with him?
No. He's a good faro dealer. He doesn't cheat the customers and he doesn't cheat the house. That's why he... Slick's been after me to marry him. Good faro dealers are so scarce, I've been considering it. Right there, Mildred. You do drink coffee.
Yes, sir, but not now, thanks. You're going to lose, Mr. Lonergan.
What?
His only defense is for somebody to prove that Hank Mahoney was armed and gunning for him. If you leave things stand the way they are now, the law's going to hang him. Good day, Miss Kate.
Hold on. I know what happened last night and why. But I can't prove it.
Well, why don't you tell me about it? Maybe I can.
Keep me out of it?
I can try to, but that's all I'm going to promise.
Well, better try. You can get me run out of town or killed.
Who are you afraid of?
The gambling place across the street.
The Palace?
Yes. They tried to hire Slick away from me. He wouldn't leave me, so they hired Mahoney to gun him.
Just because he wouldn't take the job?
No. Slick also talked too much about the men who secretly own that place.
Mr. Bennett, maybe.
Slick killed Mahoney in a fair fight. But somebody took Hank's guns and hit him before Doc Fabrique claimed the body. That's the truth. I can't prove it. I've said all I'm going to say.
Well, you talk at the trial?
No.
Well, thank you. You've helped considerable, Miss Kate. Do you want a bodyguard?
Not now. But you'd be my first choice.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go over and see Doc Fabrique now.
Don't mention my name, please.
Why, is he a friend of Bennett?
Oh, no. Doc hates everybody.
Well, thank you for your hospitality.
Just keep on with that stuff. You'll fall off your horse again. Bust your stitches loose and bleed to death on the road. I've been looking for a good cadaver to send to the St. Louis Medical School. That blather-lipped, snake-eyed, scrim-shank Mahoney fella got himself all messed up with buckshot in the abdomen. You do me a favor and bleed to death. Busy, busy, sit down and wait. Too bad you fell on your head. You might have broken your arm.
Dr. Fabrique, I'm Wyatt Earp, the new city marshal.
I don't care who you are. I told you to sit down and wait. Lend me $1. 35 cents. Get out of here. I want to talk to you.
You better talk to me.
Huh? What's that?
You're the coroner around here, aren't you?
Well, yes.
You collect a fee for every death by violence, don't you?
Young man, if you mean
Where's
to
your
insist...
autopsy and coroner's inquest report on Hank Mahoney?
Autopsy? You sure you haven't got some buttons loose?
Now, look, you're wasting both of our time. I want the report on Hank Mahoney. It just happens to be a murder case, you know.
Autopsy. Hank was killed with buckshot wounds in the abdomen. It was so obvious that only a young idiot like you would ask for an autopsy.
What about the coroner's inquest?
More foolishness. Hank was killed at the hands of Slick Lanigan. I'll have the coroner's report on Hank ready in plenty of time for the trial.
No, Doctor. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Get out of my office! 10 minutes. Autopsy. Next patient!
Hi, Mr. Murdoch.
Well, the town's starting to spin. I hear you fired 3 deputies and swore in 5 new men.
7. They're my friends from Buffalo hunting days.
Have you learned anything new?
Yeah. But doesn't fit to print. Did you, get that telegram off to Judge Jewett?
Uh-huh. Got an answer. He'll be back tonight.
Well, that's good. I'm going to ask him for a court order disbanding the vigilantes.
Wonderful. But you'd better have some evidence. The judge hates him, but he still has to follow the letter of the law.
I know. I'm working on it. Well, I'm going to go down and see Doc Fabrique before he leaves his office. I'll see you at dinner.
Fine.
Oh, by the way, I wrote a story for your paper. It says that any honest citizen who knows what happened to Hank Mahoney's guns should come forward and tell.
New lead?
Hmm?
Thanks, Wyatt.
Now, listen to what I'm going to read you, Doctor. It is specifically provided by the terms of this ordinance that the city marshal must certify to all fees collected by the coroner.
Let me see that.
Here.
The scoundrels. Those red-eyed pipsqueak politicians. If I'd known that, I wouldn't have taken the job.
It's too bad, Doc. The records show that since Mr. Hickok quit and I took over the job, the city owes you $137 in back fees. Do you want me to certify?
I earned it?
Sure, and you'll get it.
When? When will I get it?
Just as soon as you perform an autopsy on Hank Mahoney.
You're worse than Wild Bill Hickok. He was a smart skunk, but you're a crafty one. Okay. The body's in the back room.
Can I watch?
Suit yourself. And I hope you faint at the sight of it. Crack your stubborn head. Go ahead.
So you don't like your job as sheriff, huh?
You know what I mean. I don't like lynchings. I told you this morning when I wouldn't let you take Lonigan.
Shut up! You're in this just as deep as any of us. Lonigan knows too much, and Earp's been snooping around. We blundered once before in hiring a drunken fool to gun Slick. This time we're going to do our own job with a rope, right?
I don't know, Dave.
All bets down, gentlemen? 5 of spades. 5 of spades? Oh, yes. No, nobody on 5 of spades. 7 of
Hold the
hearts?
game.
I thought I told you never
Keep
to
your
come in
temper,
my
woman.
place
Keep
again.
your temper. Now, Earp has enough evidence to clear Slick, if he wants to use it. But you know what that nasty fella told me? He says he'll let Lanigan swing if you don't tell him the truth about the vigilantes.
No.
Well, Earp can just let Dave Bennett take Slick. Just sit in the jail office tonight and do nothing. Now, if you like that fella, you blonde-headed nanny goat, you'll be there.
Oh.
All right, gentlemen. I'm taking over for Kate. Make your game.
Marshal Earp, the Citizens Committee's forming up the lumberyard. They'll be here in about 10 minutes.
Okay. All the deputies report?
Yes, sir.
Good. Be sure and tell them to load their shotguns with slugs. We'll make our play out in front.
Yes, sir.
Close the door and don't let anybody in.
Yes, sir.
Did you send Doc Fabrique?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it won't work. I don't care that much about Slick.
You're in love with him.
You're not going to get me in court.
You know, I think you know all about Bennett and Sheriff Todd, don't you?
Yes. But if you expect me to go to court and I just can't live.
Doc Fabrique says you will.
Why, that old fool.
Says you're in love with Slick, and he also says that Bennett owns the Palace Saloon. That Sheriff Todd made a deal with you and some others to collect only half your taxes. Is that the truth?
Well, yes.
Well, Bennett and Todd are leaders of the vigilantes. Do you think it's right for these men to parade around town with guns and lynching ropes?
No.
Don't think you're going to be safe just by not talking. Bennett will turn on you someday and run you right out of town, just like he's trying to run me out.
And why should I be the one to squeal in court?
Because you're honest? Because you're in love with Slick? Because you hate violence and despise hypocrites?
I'm not that good, Mr. Earp. Or that brave.
I'll see you in court in the morning.
Don't count on it.
You better use this door. No sense of you getting hurt. Oh, and you better go straight back to your place.
No palaver. Bring him out.
I told you men this morning you were a lynch mob. Now, do you want me to start shooting, or do you want to listen to some evidence?
What evidence?
Hank Mahoney was wearing guns last night. Lonigan's buckshot tore off part of his gun belt and carried it into his body. Doc Fabrique recovered a hunk of the gun belt along with 245 cartridges in the autopsy.
The doc's a liar, and so are you.
Now, the rest of you men file by, and I'll show you the evidence.
You're right, Marshal Earp. I'm sorry I listened to Dave.
Mr. McCready? The following men are under arrest. Mr. Brown, Mr. Fisher, Mr. Salter, and Mr. Bennett. Give them your guns. Put them in jail. You men pick up Mr. Bennett. Now, the rest of you men go on home where you belong. Go on.
He stalled on reading your petition about as long as he can. You sure Kate will come?
Well, if she doesn't, we're sunk.
Marshal Earp,
Yes, Your Honor.
you make the charge here that several members of the Citizens Committee are of bad character and are allied with the hoodlum element.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. Have you any testimony to present bearing on this accusation?
Well, no, sir, not at this time. You see...
Let's see the proof. Where's the witnesses?
Order.
Shut up, Bennett. Throw him out of court, Judge.
Order. Proceed, Marshal Earp.
I ask the court to realize that it takes time to gather legal proof against illegal vigilantes. I need a temporary court injunction to publicly discredit the...
Marshal, the court has heard enough. You displayed poor judgment in making slanderous charges against Mr. Bennett and his associates without a single witness.
Mr. Earp has a witness, Your Honor. May I?
Swear in, clerk. Thank you, Miss Kate.
It's a pleasure, Judge.
The court apologizes to Marshal Earp for having doubted his word and wishes to express its gratitude to Miss Kate for having the courage to come here and testify. It is the order of the court that the Citizens Committee here and now disband. Court is adjourned.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so. I was so nervous I didn't think I'd come here in time. Is this official official or personal, Mr. Earp?
I'm your bodyguard.
Bennett wouldn't dare do anything now. Oh. Thanks. I'm quite the little heroine now. Even the good folks gave...
Look out!
Why didn't you shoot him?
No need to. I can trace him through this. Probably just a decoy to draw me away from you.
Oh, don't draw away from me.
Don't worry, I won't. I want the word to get around that I'm real fond of you. I'll gun anybody that does you any harm.
That ought to get the word around. Oh, I like that.
Miss Kate, break it up, you men. Go on, break it up.
Reloading cartridges?
Mm-hmm.
City gives you all the factory loads you asked for.
I don't have this new type bullet.
Made of copper?
Copper jacketed.
What's the idea, Marshal?
Well, they're a lot more accurate than the lead kind. They don't smash a man up so bad.
That's the whole idea of a 45. Smash a man up and drop him in his tracks, ain't it?
Well, it's not my idea. All I want to do is discourage him from shooting. And these will do it.
Mr. Marshal Earp,
Yes, sir?
is it true what they say, that you're a darn Yankee?
Well, who says that?
Mr. Billy Joe Mahundra told me. Billy Joe's in bad trouble. I don't suppose you'd help a Southern boy. Are you poking fun at me?
Mr. Leggett, would you please go check the jail?
Yes, Marshal.
I'd help a Southern boy just as soon as I'd help anybody else, man. Please sit down.
Thank you.
Now, what's your problem?
My name is Miss Melinda Carey, and I work at the Palace on Main Street.
Dave Bennett's saloon, huh? What do you do there?
The boys like me, and when they gamble, they give me part of their winnings for my hope chest.
In other words, you're a shill, huh?
I am not. I'm a hostess. What I want to talk to you about.
Well, let's not discuss it here. We'll go over to my office. Well, let me get this straight. You say that Billy Joe sold $8,500 worth of cattle, and then he lost all of that gambling at the Palace. Is that right?
In a crooked game.
And most of that money didn't belong to Billy Joe?
No, sir. Most to his family. Now Billy Joe says he can't go home in such a disgrace. He says he's going to shoot Mr. Dave Bennett for cheating him and then shoot himself.
And you wouldn't want that, would you?
I don't care if he does shoot Mr. Dave Bennett, but us folks take suicide very serious. It's dishonorable. And I am fond of Billy Joe, Mr. Earp.
Well, wasn't it you that shilled Billy Joe into that crooked game?
No, sir. I warned him against it. I don't shield Southern boys.
Just darn Yankees, huh?
Well,
I guess I better talk to him. I'm acquainted with it, Mr. Bennett. And if he's running a crooked gambling place, I guess I should know about it. Now, where can I find Billy Joe?
he's got a room at the Texas Hotel. You better hurry before he...
Now, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Come on.
Who is it?
Wyatt Earp. You Mr. Billy Joel Mahundra?
Yes, sir.
Miss Melinda tells me you had a little money trouble down at the Palace Saloon, and she doesn't think you ought to gun Mr. Bennett.
Well, why would you care?
Because you might botch up the job and get yourself all hurt.
Just one less Southerner. You'd be mighty pleased.
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Omohundro, you're just about the age of my younger brother Morgan. I don't care whether you're from the north, east, west, or south. But I do care about crooked gamblers cheating young fellas like you out of your money. And I'm not a friend of Mr. Bennett's.
Oh?
Oh, he tried to run me out of town. I had to crack him over the head a couple times.
Good yank. I'm sorry, Mr. Earp. That's mine. I had me some new models like yourn, but when Bennett cleaned me out, You don't care. You just came here to make small of me.
Now, look, I don't want to have to fight the Civil War all over again just for you. Now, do you want your money back or don't you?
Yes, sir, I want it back.
All right. Now, you think there might be some Southern gentlemen in the bar downstairs?
Well, I reckon. Yes, sir.
Let's go have a talk with them.
Thank you, Joe. Well, here's our share, Mr. Earp. $960.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for the loan. I'll just mark this money, and then Mr. Omohundro and I will push along over to the Palace Saloon and prove that Mr. Bennett was cheating.
Just one thing worries me, Earp.
I can guess what it is. I'm a Yankee, huh? Will any of you remember who threatened to resign from the United States Army when the carpetbaggers wanted to try Lee and Davis for treason?
Well, Grant and Sherman.
That's right. So, let's have peace, you all.
All right, let's play some cards and hope for the best.
10 on the odd, 5 on 13, and 5 on the red.
All bets down. Let her go. $22 black. Even. Mr. Bennett, Mr. Bennett.
It's an old trick. This brake stops the wheel. It's hooked up to a push button on the floor.
What's the trouble, Earp?
You. You want to explain this here or in your office?
Explain? Are you suggesting
I'm
that
not
I run-
suggesting. I'm telling. Leave it alone. Put it on the table. I want your cash box.
Give it to him. In my office, if you don't mind.
All right. $960, all marked money. All right, Mr. Bennett, I want $8,500 more.
You and the kid frame me.
Now get the money. Excuse me. Billy Joe, here's your $8,500. Gentlemen, here's the $960 you contributed.
Thank you, sir. I sure do thank you kindly, Mr. Earp.
May we apologize for saying you favor Yankees?
Thank you, sir. You run back to the hotel. I'll join you in a little while.
Yes, sir, but I...
Go on.
If you need any help?
Well, I think Mr. Bennett's had enough trouble.
I still say you frame me.
Well, don't say it again. I'm giving you a break, Bennett. If I hear any more complaints from this place, I'm going to close it and you're going to leave town. Gentlemen?
Who tipped Earp off? One of the shill girls?
None of them would do that.
Let me see who was shilling the kid. Give me the chip box. What was the name of the Southern girl?
Melinda.
The yellow chips belonged to Melinda, and Billy Joe was playing with yellow chips. I'll check on Melinda.
Come in. Hi, Mr. Earp.
Hi. Heading for home, huh?
Yes. But well, what if Bennett finds out Miss Melinda talked to you?
Well, he won't if you just leave town and don't see her again.
Yes, sir, I know. But it wouldn't be gentlemanly.
Sit down, Mr. Omohundro. won't you do me a favor? To begin with, are you in love with Miss Melinda?
No, sir. Well, that is, I haven't declared any serious intentions. I'd have to ask my folks.
Do you think your family's going to like the idea of you marrying a girl that works in the saloon and the gambling hall?
No, sir. Don't reckon they would. But I've got to do the right thing, Mr. Earp. I can't hardly just ride out of town if Miss Melinda's in trouble on account of me, now can I?
For her sake, it might be the smartest move to make.
But what would she think of me? My leaving town without even saying bye.
Well, now, why don't you just write her a little note and leave it in the office downstairs, and I'll see that she gets it.
Well, if you think that's the best way to keep her out of trouble.
I do. Hope you have a good ride. And by the way, if you're going to be packing a gun, you better get yourself a new model coat. The thing's liable to blow up in your hand.
Who is it?
Billy Joe, ma'am.
You shouldn't. It's compromising.
I know, Miss Melinda. But I just couldn't leave town without thanking you personally.
Well, you are very sweet. I was just reading your note. Mr. Earp gave it to me not 10 minutes ago.
Yes, ma'am. I broke a promise. Sure hope you won't tell Mr. Earp I came here.
Of course not. He doesn't understand us folks from the South.
I bought me some new guns, Colt 45s. If you feel you're in any danger, I'll...
Danger? You talk like Mr. Earp. Under no circumstances should you admit to Dave Bennett that you tipped me off. Oh, dear. You men, guns and danger and solemn faces.
How come you're so brave?
Fiddlesticks. Mr. Dave Bennett is a Yankee crook and a coward. Would any Southern man let Mr. Earp pull his roulette table to pieces and call him a cheat in public? I declare, honey, you do try a girl's patience. Talking of gunfighting and doing away with yourself. And... Look what you've done.
Miss Melinda, will you do me the honor of becoming my wife?
No matter what your mama thinks about it?
No matter what anybody thinks.
Well, you are awful sweet, Billy Joe. Still and all, I'm not rushing into an important thing like this.
Yes, you are. I'm riding straight home and tell the family.
Please, Billy Joe. I'll be waiting.
5 days it'll take. That's all.
5 days. Who is it?
Dave Bennett.
Go away.
It wouldn't sound good if I had to kick this door in.
I'll let you in. Now say what you have to say and get out.
You're fired.
All right.
And don't think you're going to marry this Southern boy. I'll pin a label on you, and it'll cost you a husband.
If you dare to tell him...
You can pack your clothes and move on to Dodge. You're through in Wichita.
I've been hunting a good cadaver to send to the medical school for weeks and weeks, so what do you keep bringing me? Cases like this?
Not serious, huh?
Not a chance he'll make a die of it.
Wyatt. The old quack will let me bleed to death if you don't watch him. Oh!
Quack am I?
Hey, take it easy, Doc.
Chin-horn, cold-decking gambler like him, and he's talking about quacks. Hey.
I think he fainted.
Good. Keep his mouth shut. Helps relax the deltoid muscles. Hey, the dang bullet went all the way through and lodged against the left clavicle. We'll have to turn him over on his back. Easy now. No. It bounced off the clavicle and is lodged right under the skin. You see the lump?
You gonna take it out?
I don't know. I ought to leave it in and let the ornery cuss suffer a lot of pain, but I'm a doctor. I never saw one like this. Copper jacketed, ain't it?
Copper jacketed. Let me see that.
Gold collared.
You awake? Why don't you faint again?
Wyatt's got a belt full of bullets just like that. Go on, explain it, Earp.
Sure, Bennett, I gunned you.
In the back? Oh, you're kidding.
Very funny. By the time Earp gets through covering his tracks, this town will be full of copper jackets.
No, I don't think so. I've got the only ones like these.
Leave it here. Dave's been trying to get something on you for weeks. I'll plant this thing so deep in his gizzard that I
No,
can...
Doc. But thanks for the offer. Now give me the bullet. You gonna accuse me of gunning you?
Just as soon as I can get to the courtroom.
And now, Marshal Earp. Yes, sir. There's just one point in this affair which we don't seem to have covered. Where were you at about 2 a.m. the night of the shooting?
Well, I was just turning into the alley, making my regular rounds.
And how far were you from the rear of Mr. Bennett's establishment when this shot was fired?
About 40 yards, I'd say.
You didn't see the shot fired or who fired it?
I heard the shot, sir, but I didn't see who fired it. There wasn't anybody in the alley at the time except Mr. Bennett. I saw him stagger and fall, and I ran over to him.
Oh, one moment. Did Mr. Bennett say anything that would lead you to believe he knew who his assailant was?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Bennett has made a grave charge against you, Marshal Earp. The evidence is entirely circumstantial, but the court has no choice but to relieve you of your duties pending a full inquiry. Court is adjourned.
You didn't gun Bennett. The judge knows it. The whole town knows it.
Sure. It looks like the proof is up to me. Well, I'm gonna go up this street. Put that on. You're acting marshal.
I'll leave it on your desk. Wyatt. It was those Johnny Rebs, wasn't it?
Just one of them.
Do you know his name?
Not so sure it was a he.
Why, it's Mr. Earp.
Leaving town?
No. Just want to have a little talk with Miss Melinda. A private talk.
Tell him you're not talking. You've got no star. You're just a plain citizen now.
I said in private.
Let's not lose our temper, Mr. Marshal. Wait on the platform, boys.
No. You get far away from me and stay away. Where you heading, Miss Melinda?
Dodge City.
Mr. Bennett ordered you out of town, huh?
You really are mixed up. I decided it wouldn't be healthy here. Nick and Pat came along to guard me in case Mr. Bennett acted difficult about my leaving. Any more personal questions?
Just two. Was it you that gunned Mr. Bennett or Billy Joe?
Oh, what impertinence! I declare.
Because if it was Billy Joe, I've got to go after him. It's going to be a long ride, and I'm not going to be in a good humor when I get there.
You don't scare me.
All right. I know what the truth is now.
But you can't prove it.
Melinda, honey. Mr. Earp.
I thought you left town hours ago.
Yes, sir. But I heard on the trail that you were in trouble because of Mr. Bennett.
Tell him the truth. Mr. Omohundro, I think she's the one that gunned Mr. Bennett.
That's ridiculous. I did it. I'm the one you want.
I don't want either one of you.
Mr. Earp, why are you sore, sir? I can clear your good name. I'll confess and they'll put you back in office.
You go tell the judge that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I will.
Did you really shoot Mr. Dave Bennett, Billy Joe? Well, I'm right proud of you. Why on earth would the marshal think it was me?
Mr. Earp is a Yankee with no respect for a woman's honor.
Don't confess it, Billy Joe. He's not worth it. Get on your horse and ride away.
No, honey. Us folks pays our debts of money or gratitude.
You are awful sweet, Billy Joe.
Judge, Your Honor, Squire, Sire, I was so plumb provoked at that fella, Judge. Well, I reckon I just lost my head. One point, though, I did ask Mr. Bennett to turn around and shoot it out fair and square, but he kept on running and I shot him.
I see. Mr. Leggett, did you send for Marshal Earp?
Yes, Your Honor. About 15 minutes ago. He should be here any second.
Mr. Omohundro.
Yes, sir?
How old are you?
21 years, 3 months, and 8 days, sir.
Assault with a deadly weapon and intent to kill. Of course, you did own up to it, and, Oh, Marshal Earp. This young man has made a full confession. That clears you, and the court here and now removes you from suspension.
There's your badge, Marshal.
Well, I'm sorry, Judge, but I don't think Billy Joe did it.
How's that?
No, sir. I think he's lying to protect a girl.
Mr. Earp, I must ask you to be a gentleman and
Can't come in here,
I
ma'am.
can, too, come in here. I'm not scared of Yankee judges and marshals. You take your hands off me.
Neither go, Sam.
I thank you kindly, Mr. Marshal Earp.
Melinda, what on earth
Hush up, Billy Joe. You the judge?
Yes.
I did it. This is the weapon I used, and I'm not letting this sweet boy suffer for something I did. It's still got the empty shell and 2 of Mr. Earp's gold-colored bullets. I stole them from this desk yesterday because I didn't have any. A lady can't properly buy cartridges.
Melinda, please.
Order.
Don't.
These belong to you?
Yep.
I'm coming back to Wichita and marry Melinda.
You mean after she's free?
While down south, a judge wouldn't even sentence her.
Well, I don't think our judge is going to be too tough on her.
Why not?
Well, because it just so happens that Judge Jewett's wife is from Charleston, South Carolina.
No fooling? Please, sir, tell Mrs. Jewett that I forgive her for marrying a Yankee. That's the proof of it. The good Lord, he loves the South. So long, Mr. Earp.
So long, Billy Joe.
Invading band of outlaws, determined to kill every peace officer and citizen who stands in their way.
Stop it! Come back here!
You shoot your mouth off about this, and you'll be in worse trouble.
Right in front of the squad, Mr. Earp. Bleeding all over the place. A man kicking right in the stomach.
You wait here.
beat you up, Mr. Haley?
Bennett's bouncer. I run into a crooked faro game. Look at this deal box.
I haven't seen one like that in a long time. Gaffed up like that, you didn't have a chance.
That's why I grabbed it.
Bennett's dealer used this?
Yeah. I swept it into my pocket before they jumped me.
You need a doctor, Mr. Haley.
I need a gun.
You forget about the guns. That's what I get paid for. You men, take him on over to Doc Fabrique's office.
I'm all right.
Now, you go on over there. Forget about Bennett. He's my problem.
All right.
Come on. You ever see this before, Bennett?
Of course not.
They both got your own personal brand of cards in. Only this one's a screw box.
It's not mine.
Mr. Haley gave me this. He said your dealer used it to cheat him. And he's going to repeat that under oath.
I don't think so.
Mr. Haley was a friend of mine, and I'd like to return what you gave him. Oh! I'm going to give you 6 hours to close up and get out of town, Bennett.
You can't prove that...
I can prove. You're short in this town. I said 6 hours. Sam, you men about ready?
We're all set here, Marshal.
Good. Oh, Mr. Murdoch. What's the news?
Dave Bennett. He's been squawking about your order.
Well, that's good. Dave's got about the most crooked place I've ever seen.
You just can't tolerate crooked gambling.
No, I like an honest game too much myself. And so does every cowhand I ever met. Gambling house makes plenty of money on its percentage. Dave didn't have to cheat.
Bennett isn't going to take this lying down.
He may have to.
What's the idea of letting Earp run you out of town, Dave? He ain't got no right to close you up.
You got about 3 minutes left, Mr. Bennett.
When I come back here, you won't have 3 minutes.
All I'll need is 3/5 of a second with a Colt 45 if I ever see you in Wichita again.
You're bragging on yourself again, ain't you, Earp?
I don't think so.
You ain't man enough to drink liquor, so you don't like saloons. You're too lazy to work, so you don't like cowhands.
You asking for trouble?
That's just what I'm asking for. Come on, men, let's go get our guns.
All right, now break it up.
Go on, move!
Your time's run out, Mr. Bennett.
Next time you see me in Wichita, you'll be hiding up a trade. Howdy.
Howdy.
Can one of you tell me where I'll find Manning Clements?
Well, Manning's here, but he's in pretty mean mood. If I were you, I'd wait until after sunup.
Well, my business is real urgent.
Over past that big rock. But be sure to call out your name before you ride up.
I know. Thanks.
Manning's killed 26 men. Hey, I wonder if I did the right thing by telling that stranger. 26 poor fellows in their grave.
Hey, Manning. It's Dave Bennett. You remember me?
Come on along. But keep your hands in the air.
This the way you want it?
That's the way I want it.
And with you to lead them, I can round up the boys and we'll tree Wichita to a frazzle. But your main job is to take care of Wyatt Earp.
What's so important about Earp?
He's almost as fast with a gun as you.
How many men has Earp killed?
Nobody yet. He hasn't had to. But he's that fast.
Well, I'm faster. And I always shoot to kill.
Treat Earp that way. You get 200 right now and 200 more after you cut him down.
What is the catch in this?
No catch.
How do I know what I'll run into?
Those rabbits won't fight. Just Earp and a couple of deputies. If it's more money you want...
It ain't the money, Dave. I've cut a man in half with buckshot for $50. And for no money at all.
Well, then what's bothering you?
I don't like towns. You get Earp out here.
Oh, he's not that stupid. He tricked Ben Thompson into surrendering Bill over at Ellsworth.
Ben turned Billy in? Was Ben scared of Earp?
He didn't gun him.
I reckon I'll have to settle up for Bill. I always liked Bill.
Then it's a deal?
No. Maybe it's an ambush in Wichita. Could be you're trying to bait me into a trap.
Where's Laurie?
Why are you asking?
You trust her, don't you?
She's the onlyest one I trust. I'll send her into Wichita.
We haven't got time for that.
I've got time.
Man, and I swear that...
You swear. I'm waiting for Laurie's word on it. And don't you try and tempt me with killing Earp. Because if I go into Wichita, I intend to do a lot more killing than just him. But I ain't riding in there to be ambushed. I'll do the killing.
Sure, Manning. You do the killing. I'll bring him in. Come on in, men.
Marshal, it's Mr. Tom Davidson.
How do you do, sir? Mr. Davidson, you and your men refused to check your guns, is that correct?
We're not saying any more.
Now, you don't look like the type of man that would want to spend 10 days in jail.
10 days? We can't be in jail when... Manning Clemens is coming to town.
What?
With a lot of cowhands. They aim to tree Wichita. Clemens is going to gun you, Mr. Earp.
Where'd you hear this?
We trailed him from Dodge City. Last night, we joined a cattle outfit driving here. There was a lot of wide open talk.
You say you were trailing Clemens?
He killed my son. Murdered him in cold blood. Killed my grandson. Killed his brother. Do you blame us for trailing him with guns?
No, sir, I don't. I'm sorry.
Then turn us loose.
Mr. Davidson, are any of you men expert with a gun?
There'll be 5 of us against Clemens.
He'd kill 2 or 3 of you before you got him. That's a big price to pay. I don't think your families would want you to pay it.
I'd pay it. For my boy.
Not in this town, you won't. Mr. Leggett, we'll have to hold him for a day or so. I'm going over to the newspaper office. I'm sorry, gentlemen.
I thought you'd be around.
Well, you heard about it, huh?
Uh-huh. This might be real rough, Wyatt. Clemens is supposed to have killed about 24 men.
Yeah. Did you ever meet him?
Just once in Abilene. Ignorant savage yahoo. You better start swearing in extra deputies. You'll need at least 50 men.
Hey, have you put your paper to press yet?
We lock the forms in an hour. Why?
I'd like you to write me a page 1 editorial, Mr. Murdoch. Please sit down. I'll tell you how I think it ought to go. Could you read that back to me?
Well, a report has reached the Eagle that some brainless, hairy-eared cowhands plan to tree Wichita in the near future. Our informant states that one man in Clemens will lead them. This Clemens is a horse thief, a common murderer, and a coward. We have questioned Marshal Wyatt Earp about Clements and his associates. Marshal Earp has such a low opinion of Clements that he dismisses the loose talk of a raid on Wichita with hearty laughter. You want to get us all massacred?
It's a good piece, Mr. Murdoch. Please print it.
Oh, now, Wyatt, this is ridiculous.
Look, I want Clements and the cowhands to think we're not taking them seriously. The mob is only one man that's leader. In this case, it's Clements. I'm working on him.
Wyatt, this is the sublimest lot of overconfident nonsense I've ever heard. Now, what's gotten into you?
Clement's girl's in town. She's drifting around the saloons and asking questions about you, Marshal.
Oh, well, that's good. I'd like to know her name and where I can find her.
Her name's Laurie Castle. She's stopping over at the Texas house.
I think I'll walk around. Oh, will you print that for me?
Mm-hmm. Along with your obituary.
Pardon me. Are you Wyatt Earp?
Yes, and that's right.
Mr. Earp, I'm Laurie Castle.
Miss Castle.
I've heard so much about you that I didn't want to leave town without saying howdy.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, wait, Mr. Earp. Just saying howdy isn't all.
Oh?
It's business. Won't you come over and sit down for a minute?
Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I do have my afternoon
It won't
calls
take long. Please. My name doesn't mean anything to you.
No, I'm sorry. Should it?
I have a gentleman friend who's quite well known, Mr. Manning Clements.
Clements. Seems like I recall the name, but
Now, this is a surprise. How come they let you be marshal here if you don't know about Mr. Manning Clements?
Seems I remember a family in northern Illinois by the name of Clements. Oh, yes, of course. Mr. Clements got into a few gunfights, didn't he?
But none of them was really his fault, Mr. Earp.
Oh. Well, of course, he's been in no trouble around Wichita here, but, well, does this business that you mentioned, does that concern Mr. Clements?
Oh, it might, yes. Don't tell me you haven't heard the talk.
No, something in particular?
They say that Mr. Clements is going to help the cowhands tree Wichita.
Well, now, why would he want to do that? I don't understand.
Mr. Clements has a friend by the name of Dave Bennett. He talked Manning into it.
He did?
But I can talk Manning out of it. That is, if I got paid for my trouble. Wouldn't the businessmen here think it would be worth some money to head off the cowhands?
They might, but exactly how would you persuade Mr. Clements?
I know him sociably quite well.
Well, when would you expect the money?
In advance, just as soon as it can be collected.
How much?
Seems like it would be worth $500.
It might be, but, well, I'd have to know a little bit more about how you expect to handle Mr. Clements.
Well, he's right fond of me. And if I requested him, you want the solemn truth? I can scare Manning. I'm the only living soul who can scare him.
Oh, now, Miss Castle.
It's the truth. I can tell him you're setting up a surprise for him here. Mr. Clements doesn't like to be surprised in a town like the James boys were. I can tell him he'll be trapped in an ambush.
Well, of course, none of that would be the truth.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
You see, Miss Castle, our mayor and the businessmen, they don't want me to fight the cattlemen. No. And Bennett knows that, and he'd tell your friend, Mr. Clements. So you just have to think up something more scarier.
All right. I got something a heap sight scarier.
To tell you the truth, I didn't think anything could scare Clemens.
Seems like you keep on calling me a liar. I've said all I'm gonna say.
Well, now, I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to offend you.
Even if I told you the real secret, you wouldn't believe me.
I can't very well raise $500 for a secret you won't tell me.
Manning's scared of graveyards.
Graveyards?
It's the truth. I can tell him I dreamed of a graveyard and he'll right out for the panhandle.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Castle. The deal's off.
What?
Well, I couldn't raise $500 for a yarn like that. Why, people would laugh me right out of town.
You're a stupid fool. You'll be dead tomorrow.
Graveyards.
Mr. Clements, have you seen the Wichita Eagle paper?
Don't bother me.
Well, they called you a coward and lots of other names, too.
They've said a lot worse things about me. Come on, play poker.
Doesn't it make you sore to have Herb call you a nobody? That we're bluffing?
What took you so long?
I talked to that Earp in town. He's a fool. The Eagle paper doesn't put much stock in you, Manning. Nobody in Wichita's laying for you. And Earp hasn't even put on special deputies.
You didn't see no sign of an ambush?
Nary a one. You and the cowhands can go through that town easy. Kill Earp for me if you can find him.
Well, Menon, you satisfied now?
I don't know. Sounds too good.
Oh, you don't trust me anymore?
No, I trust you.
Saddle and ride.
We'll hit Wichita early.
Thank you. So much.
Well, we've armed about 50 men, Mr. Murdoch. So if I can't stop Clemens here at the edge of town, we can cut his outfit to pieces when he crosses the city line.
Why try to stop Clemens and turn the others back? Let them come in town, take their medicine.
That's right.
Look, I started all this by closing Bennett's saloon. I'm going to finish it without getting a lot of people hurt.
All right. You ride out there alone. What happens? Clemens won't palaver.
I'm paid to take chances. If my plan works, people won't be killing and getting killed all over town.
Well, yes, but if it doesn't work?
So bury me.
Just as Laurie told you, they didn't believe we'd come.
It looks awful quiet. Is that Earp?
Get him now.
I don't shoot from a horse.
Mr. Clements, I want to talk to you.
Get down off your horse and I'll get off mine.
In a minute. But first I want to warn you, I have 80 men just waiting for you to cross the line.
You're bluffing. Bushwhacked. You and Laurie lied to me.
Now, it'll be an even fight if you come into town. We'll lose men and so will you. All Dave wants is me. I'm the one your crowd is sore at, not Wichita. So let you and me settle it, Mr. Clements.
Get off your horse.
Not here. When I drop you, I don't want 50 bullets in my gizzard. We'll Go right into the lumber yard and shoot it out in private.
Get him quick. He'll drop me. I can gun him in a fair fight. How do I know you haven't got men in there?
I don't need any help.
You talk brave, Mr. Earp.
Picked a mighty nice morning to die, Mr. Clements.
You got Earp. Did you kill him, Manning?
You wanted me ambushed.
You can ride in that truck if you want to. Not me. What happened between you and Clements?
Saw an open grave with his name on it. It's too bad about Bennett. Should have died on the gallows. You tell Doc Fabrique I want him laid out in style for all crooked gamblers to pay their respects.
Yes, Mr. Earp.
Of them all. And Wes Hardin was now on his way to Wichita.
Well, there's Wichita, hon. Right around that bend.
Do we have to go to Wichita?
Got to sell the horses.
That's not the only reason. You listen to Manning Clements.
Well, he's kinfolk, hon.
Stupid, ignorant yahoo. Why don't you let him settle his own quarrel?
Because Wyatt Earp's too smart for him. But he ain't too smart for me.
More trouble. Oh, why, Wes? We're out of Texas. The law's not after you here. Why don't we just push on to Nebraska and get clean away?
Because I owe it to Manning.
Oh.
I do owe him, hon. Manning, Joe, Jip, the whole Clements branch of the family helped me in that Sutton-Taylor fight.
I hate and despise the Clementses.
No man gonna tell no kin of mine to get out of no town. So you just let me handle this my own way, Janie. Manning asked me to do a chore for him. And I'm going to do it.
Gunning Wyatt Earp. That's a chore.
Might be real pleasant. Get up. Come on.
Why weren't you down at the rail yard?
Lucky I wasn't.
Ain't that Snake River outfit real quick. Extra deputy would have made it easier.
Then who'd have seen John Wesley Hardin come into town?
Hardin?
Yep. Him and his wife. They came in with a string of trade horses. Put up at the Texas Hotel. Sassy as you please.
Oh.
Wes is first cousin to Manning Clements, you know.
Yeah.
If I was you, Mr. Earp, I'd get the jump on him fast.
Don't have any warrant for Hardin.
There's plenty of warrants for him down south. And about 10,000 in rewards.
You want scalp money, Sam?
I could use some. But mainly I'm thinking of you and Wes in a tangle.
I know that. Well, Hardin might not be aiming to pick up Clemens' quarrel. It's been running a long time. Could be he's tired of it. Well, there's only one way of finding out.
How's that?
I'll go ask him.
Hello, Mr. Earp.
Hi, Ben. John Wesley Hardin registered?
Yep. His wife went up to the room. He's in the bar.
You check his guns?
Right nice about it. No argument.
Thanks, man.
And there was Wild Bill Hickok, all duded up for the women and ready to make a big show-off play. He stepped up to me and he said, Mr. Hardin, I must ask you for your guns.
What'd you do, Wes?
Well,
Why, Mr. Herb.
Well, don't let me interrupt, Mr. Harden.
you Wyatt Earp? Well, you ain't much older than I am.
You're quite an old man from experience, Mr. Harden.
I sure am. I ought to be gray-headed by now, Mr. Earp.
Wes, tell us what happened when Hickok asked you to hand over your guns.
Well, it wasn't much. Just a little trick I invented. Would you like to see it, Mr. Earp?
Now, Mr. Harden, I'm always interested in new gun tricks.
Well, I have to get my guns.
Well, don't bother. You can use one of mine. I've seen a few accidents, fellas, doing tricks with loaded guns.
Seen a few myself. Hey, that's a right good gun. Good balance. Hey, you must have had a good gunsmith work over that sear.
Did it myself.
No fooling. That's right slick. I experiment around with guns myself.
So I hear.
Hey, Wes, you said you'd show us.
Yeah. Well, Hickok was Marshal of Abilene at the time, Mr. Earp. He asked me to turn over my guns to him, so I handed them to him. Grips first. And then I...
The road agent spin, huh?
Well, that's what they call it now. It's really the Harden spin.
That's the fastest I've ever seen it done.
Well, he's John Wesley Harden. Show us another trick, Wes.
Here's one I bet you ain't never seen before.
That's real magic stuff, Wes.
You ever seen that one before, Mr. Earp?
No, I haven't, but I imagine it comes in mighty handy for you, Mr. Harden.
That's called the Harden switch. Them Rangers copied it. They call it the border switch. Man who pioneers never gets the credit.
That's very often true.
You do any gun tricks, Mr. Earp?
No, Mr. Harden. I just draw when I have to and shoot.
Why don't you and Wes draw against each other? See which is the fastest, huh? Oh, come on.
Well, that wouldn't be much of a contest.
Oh, I don't know about that, Mr. Earp. My cousin, Manning Clemens, tells me you're pretty quick, too.
Well, Manning wouldn't know. He never drew against me.
I don't take a bluff like Manning does.
Well, you're a lot smarter than he is.
He is pretty stupid, ain't he? He got scared by his name on a grave.
Oh, no, I heard about it.
And speaking of tricks, Mr. Earp, that was a right good one. How about let's have a drink on it?
Well, no, thanks. I don't care too much for that stuff, but I'm very happy to meet you, Mr. Harden.
Well, same here, Mr. Earp.
I'll see you around.
Hey, bartender, set him up for everybody.
Give me a burger. Myself.
Harden, you're a dirty liar.
What did you say?
I'm a friend of Parrot Beak, and nobody calls him Parrot Beak and lives but his friends. James Butler Hickok, that's his name. The world's fastest gunman. And you never ran it over him in Abilene or any other place. You're just a no-good, dirty liar. And I'm gonna...
He dead?
Yes, sure is.
Well, how'd you guess?
You didn't invent the shoulder rig, Mr. Harden. It's used by gamblers on the Mississippi steamboats.
Oh, not this rig. That spring clip holds it. That's my own idea.
Well, I'll see if the judge will give you a patent.
Judge, are you arresting me?
That's right.
Well, it was a clear case of self-defense. All these men will testify he drew on me first.
That's right, Mr. Herb. This man had a gun in his hand when Wes drew and fired.
I'm not too sure about that. To jail, Mr. Harden.
Well, just when I was commencing to feel sorry for you.
Wes! Wes, what have you done?
Well, nothing to worry about, hon. I had to shoot a man, that's all.
No. Are you Mr. Earp?
That's right, ma'am.
Why, not for a minute, Wes. It was self-defense, wasn't it?
Why, sure.
I'll have to let the judge decide that.
Can I go with him?
No, you stay right here. This won't take 30 minutes. Oh, now don't fret yourself, hon. They can't hold me.
Judge, the man he killed, Mr. Atwell, had been drinking by himself for several hours. Well, it just doesn't seem logical to me that after seeing Hardin here do his tricks, he'd want to draw on him.
He talks like a lawyer, don't he?
Sure does.
Order. Marshal Earp, these men have testified that the deceased did draw a gun. And you have said that when you found Mr. Atwell, he had a gun in his hand when he was lying on the floor.
That's true, Your Honor, but Hardin or anybody else here could have put that gun in his hand after he was shot.
That is only your theory, Earp.
Yeah. Where's your proof?
Order. For lack of evidence to the contrary, the court must rule that you shot in self-defense. But I'm fining you $100 for carrying this gun in violation of our city ordinance.
Fair enough.
Your Honor, I think this man ought to be in jail. I'm not satisfied it was self-defense, and I'd like to work on the case.
You mean you'd like to enjoy life for a few days?
Are you threatening Mr. Earp?
Oh, no, sir. Nothing like that.
Your Honor, I withdraw my objection. Find him and turn him loose.
Very well. But I'd advise him to leave town.
50 and 50. Are you telling me to leave, Judge?
No, I'm suggesting, Mr. Hardin. And you might be grateful to me someday.
I ain't shown Earp the real trick yet. I ain't gonna risk getting us bushwhacked in the dark.
No, I guess it is more sensible to wait for daylight. But you will leave.
Well, I promised you, didn't I?
Of course you did. I'm sorry. Just kind of twitchy nerves, I guess.
Where'd you find Herb?
He was in a tailor shop down the street having a coat mended. Very decent man, I thought. That gun.
Oh, you want me to keep it hid? Close it up good and neat. That's my Janie. Real neat.
Keep one more promise.
Huh?
Don't drink in the bar tonight. Stay here with me. And we can get some sleep and an early start. Is that such a difficult promise?
Oh, that's a real easy one.
Oh, good morning. I'm a little late. I don't sleep so good.
No great rush. I just want to buy a coat.
Oh, yes, sir. Tailored or ready-made?
Right off the rack, friend.
Oh, I got some nice coats that will fit you. First we get a little light in here, and then...
Never mind light.
What you say?
I'm Hardin. John Wesley Hardin.
You are Hardin? All right, shut up.
You just be quiet and listen to me. You go out and find Wyatt Earp. Tell him to come here. If he's got the nerve. I won't wait long. If he don't come, I'll go after him. While I'm waiting, I'll pick out a coat.
To be buried in?
Pardon me. Have you seen Mr. Hardin?
Why, yes, a little while ago. I think he went out back to hitch a team, Mrs. Hardin.
Thank you. Where? Where?
Tommy, what's up?
Oh, Mr. Earp, Hardin. He is waiting for you in my shop to make gunfire. Oh, excuse me. I hurried too fast.
Any idea why he wants it there?
No. Yes. Oh, I am so stupid. He had a bundle. Must be his guns. And first he said he wanted to buy a coat.
A coat? What was he wearing?
Trail jacket. Short. About like this.
Maybe he wanted a longer coat to cover his guns.
Oh, I don't know, Mr. Earp. I don't know. Maybe the gun shoots from the bundle. It's a trick, like you say. Oh, I talk smart. I say maybe he will be buried in the coat. But maybe it is you who will be. I am afraid. Please don't go there. Send your deputies to surround my shop. They will kill him.
The law can't do that, Tommy. Look, have you got your keys to the back door?
Keys? Yeah, yes, I have the keys here. Hardin, I'm coming in.
I got no guns, Earp.
But your wife said you wanted to leave town. Stupid trick. Get it on a swivel.
Too slow, huh?
No, he was too inaccurate. He got off the first shot, but he missed. Put your hands on the table.
You break his wrists, huh?
Good. I didn't break anything. But he won't be able to use his hands for a couple of weeks.
Wes! Oh, Wes. Where was he hit? How bad is he hurt?
He's not hurt much.
Oh, thank God.
He's got a sore head and sprained fingers.
You should thank God that Mr. Earp didn't kill him dead.
When he comes to, you better load him on your wagon and drive out of Wichita.
Yes, Mr. Earp.
Good day, Mrs. Harden.